Imagine a scenario where the most sophisticated weapon on a battlefield isn't a laser-guided missile, a high-velocity rifle, or even a perfectly forged steel sword.
Okay.
Imagine a world where the tide of a skirmish is turned not by a general's command, but by a herd of very confused, very annoyed cows.
It sounds ridiculous when you put it that way. I mean, it sounds like slapstick comedy, right?
It does. But in the world we're stepping into today, that herd of cows is a precision instrument. It's a study in asymmetric warfare.
That is the perfect term for it. Asymmetric warfare. Taking what you have at hand, whether it's livestock, a sudden change in wind direction, or a single gold coin, and using it to dismantle an enemy who, on paper, should absolutely destroy you.
It's all about controlling chaos.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are opening the case file on Halt's Peril, the ninth entry in John Flanagan's Ranger's Apprentice series. We're focusing specifically on the first 15 chapters.
And this is a dense chunk of the story. For anyone tracking the series, we know the stakes are really high. But we aren't just here to recap the plot.
Exactly. If you want a summary, you can, read the back of the book.
Okay.
We are here to analyze the methodology. We're looking at what we're calling the Ranger method.
It's this masterclass in tradecraft, deduction, and I think most importantly, tactical improvisation. We're following three operators: Will Treaty, the young but highly skilled ranger,
His mentor, Halt, who is the legend himself.
and Horace, the warrior knight. And they're navigating this high-stakes manhunt across the rugged landscapes of Hibernia and Picta.
The target is a man named Tennyson. He's the leader of the Outsiders, which is this cult that's essentially a geopolitical scam operation. They destabilize kingdoms for profit.
Right. And he's on the run. Our trio has to catch him before he just vanishes into the mist. The clock is absolutely ticking.
But what makes these first 15 chapters so fascinating to analyze is that nothing goes according to plan. I mean, this isn't a straight line from A to B at all.
No, it's a series of crisis management exercises, one after another. How do you extract intel from a hostile source who knows you can't kill him? How do you stop a ship that is technically superior to yours in every single way? How do you manage the psychological burden of leadership when every choice you make costs you time you just don't have?
So let's drop right into the environment. We're in Clonmel, Hibernia. It is wet, it is cold, and our point of entry is a town called Port Kale. And immediately, the source text gives us this lesson in what I'd call atmospheric intelligence.
Oh, yeah. Will is riding into town, and he notices something isn't right. Not because of what he sees, but what he smells. Or, more accurately, what he doesn't smell.
Okay, that's such a cool detail. Explain that.
Well, this is Intelligence Gathering 101. Port Kale is a coastal town. You expect the sensory profile of a fishing village, right? You expect fish guts, drying nets, brine, maybe the smell of scaling knives.
Sure, a smell of industry.
But that smell is accent. Instead, Will smells tar, hemp rope, and dried seaweed.
So what's the takeaway there? For a tactical operator like Will, why is that distinction so critical?
It completely changes the threat profile of the entire town. I mean, if it smells like fish, the locals are fishermen. They're civilians focused on subsistence, on the daily catch. They mind their own business.
Right, they're not a threat.
But if it smells like tar and rope, but no fish, it means the economy is built on shipping. And in a town this rough, tucked away in a corner of Hibernia, that means one thing.
Smuggling.
Smuggling. It means the locals aren't just civilians, they are accomplices. They are part of a criminal infrastructure. They value silence over hospitality. They're not going to help an outsider.
So Will is walking into a hostile environment before he even opens his mouth. He heads to a tavern called the Heron, and the description here is classic noir. Low ceilings, smoke thick enough to chew on.
And that clientele that goes dead silent the moment the door opens, everyone turns to look.
And this is where we see Will's infiltration strategy. It really relies heavily on cognitive dissonance.
It does. Will is short. He looks youthful. In a world of these big, brawling sailors, he looks like an easy victim.
But he carries a massive longbow and a heavy sax knife.
Exactly. He's signaling two conflicting things at once. I am weak, and I am dangerous.
And he just leans right into that confusion. He goes up to the bar to deal with the proprietor, a man vividly nicknamed Ratface.
A lovely guy, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. So Will needs to establish dominance here without starting a full-on riot. He uses what we can call the gold coin ploy.
I loved this detail. It's such a brilliant power move. It's theater.
It is. He orders a coffee, which Ratface refuses to make until Will physically grabs him. But then when it comes time to pay, Will puts a gold coin on the counter. But he doesn't just hand it over.
No, not at all. He takes his sax knife. You have to remember, these are razor-sharp, heavy combat knives. They're basically short swords. And he chops the gold coin in half right there on the wood. Thwack.
The sound must have echoed in that silent room.
Oh, for sure. He gives one half to Ratface and he keeps the other. Now, it seems dramatic, maybe a little over the top, but what is the psychological mechanism at play here? Why destroy the currency?
It's a transaction that implies a threat, right?
It's the stick and the carrot, all in one move. By cutting the coin, he's demonstrating physical strength and weapon proficiency. That's the stick.
Look what I can do to meddle with my little knife.
Right. But he's also showing that he has gold, and plenty of it if he's willing to just chop it up. That's the carrot. He's saying, I am a paying customer, but I am also a lethal threat. Keep the coffee coming, keep your mouth shut, and you might get the other half of this coin later.
So it buys a very specific type of temporary loyalty.
It does. It establishes him as a player in the room, not just some transient kid passing through.
Will is in town looking for the Black O'Malley. He's the smuggler who transported Tennyson. And O'Malley is, well, he's a piece of work.
Yeah, the description is great. A massive burn score on his face from a pitch fight, a nose that's been smashed flat. He looks like a man who not only accepts violence, but probably enjoys it.
He's an apex predator in this specific ecosystem. And this is where we really have to critique Will's approach, I think.
I agree. Will sits down with O'Malley, and he tries to be the reasonable negotiator. He offers gold for information. He appeals to logic. He's trying to make a business deal.
And he just hits a brick wall. O'Malley takes the gold, laughs in his face, and tells him to get lost. So why did Will's tradecraft fail here? I mean, he had the money. He had the logic. He even had that intimidation factor from the coin trick earlier.
He failed because he misread the social currency of the room. This is a concept in sociology called audience costs. O'Malley is surrounded by his crew. He's the alpha dog.
Okay.
If he accepts money from a boy, and that's how he sees Will and gives up a client, he looks weak. In his world, reputation is worth so much more than gold. If he loses his status as the alpha, he loses his crew, he loses his whole operation.
So O'Malley actually couldn't accept the deal even if he wanted the money because the cost to his reputation was just too high.
Exactly right. He has to perform dominance for his audience. So he kicks Will out and, to add insult to injury, sends two of his thugs, Niels and Dennis, to go rob Will in the alley.
Which leads to a very rapid escalation. But Will doesn't brawl with them. He's smarter than that.
Oh, way smarter. He retreats and uses the longbow. That's his force multiplier. He pins the door frame between them with one arrow just to get their attention.
And then the second shot, he snips Nala's ear.
A warning shot versus a kill shot. It's a deterrent. It's a message. It says, I can end you from a distance where you can't even touch me. It saves Will's life, but you have to admit, the mission is a failure at this point.
Yeah, he didn't get the intel. He didn't break O'Malley. He survived, but he didn't succeed.
And that's when the cavalry arrives.
Enter Halt.
And the dynamic shifts instantly. I mean, the whole energy of the narrative changes.
It's almost a jarring transition in the text, isn't it? Will was playing this delicate game of subtle cues and psychological pressure. Halt walks in the front door with Horace, and they just take up space. They consume the oxygen in the room.
Halt brings a different asset. Overwhelming force. He brings Horace. And we have to remember, at this point in the saga, Horace isn't just a kid anymore. He is the Oakleaf Knight. He's one of the deadliest swordsmen in the known world.
And Halt's briefing to Horace before they enter is hilarious in its simplicity.
It's so good. I say Horace, just whack him.
Whack him. It's not a complex tactical order. It's not flank left or provide suppressive fire.
It doesn't need to be. It's elegant in its directness. They walk into the Heron. Halt sits right down at O'Malley's table. He doesn't offer money. He doesn't try to negotiate. He demands.
O'Malley tries the same intimidation tactic he used on Will. He orders Niles and Dennis to throw them out. He thinks it's a replay of the same scene.
Big mistake.
Halt says the magic word.
Horace. And the fight that follows is a great example of what military strategists call the ODA, loop observe, orient, decide, act. Horace cycles through this faster than the thugs can even process what's happening.
The text describes it in just a few seconds, right?
It's less than 4 seconds. It's beautiful. He blocks a punch from one, delivers a hook, and then hits Dennis with an uppercut that literally lifts a massive man off his feet.
It's described as a demolition. It's barely even a fight.
It's kinetic efficiency. Horace doesn't waste a single ounce of energy. He shuts down the threat so fast, so completely, that the entire room just goes silent. The power dynamic flips instantly. O'Malley's not the alpha anymore. He's not even close.
He just watched his two best enforcers get completely dismantled by a guy who looks like he's bored.
And then Halt moves in for the kill, psychologically speaking. He puts a sax knife to O'Malley's throat. This is the look in my eyes moment, and I think it's one of the darkest, most intense moments we've seen from Halt in the series.
I agree. He is not playing around. There's a mention of his brother Ferris's death fueling this, right?
Yes, he's grieving, and that grief is hardened into this cold fury. O'Malley tries to play the hostage logic card. He says, "You can't kill me. If I die, you never find out where Tennyson went."
It's a standard leverage play. I am more valuable to you alive than dead.
It is. And logically, O'Malley is right. If Halt slits his throat, the trail goes completely cold.
So how does Halt dismantle that? How does he get around that logic?
He uses game theory. He completely changes the payoff matrix. He tells O'Malley to look into his eyes and find a single shred of mercy, of reason. And he convinces O'Malley that Halt values revenge more than he values the information.
That is terrifying.
It is. He says, "If I kill you, I lose the information. True, but I gain the satisfaction of ridding the world of you." He makes O'Malley believe that his own death is a foregone conclusion, that the information is now irrelevant to Halt's decision-making process.
And then he turns the room against him.
That's the final nail in the coffin. Halt asks the Silent Tavern, "If I cut his throat, who here is going to avenge him?" And nobody moves, not a soul. Halt proves in that moment that O'Malley's power was a complete illusion. Without his thugs, without his reputation for violence, he's absolutely alone.
And that isolation is what breaks him.
Completely. He gives up the location. Tennyson is heading for the Cracekill River in Picta.
So, at the end of the day, brute force combined with this psychological terror succeeded where Will's more nuanced negotiation failed.
Sometimes you need a scalpel.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need a sledgehammer. Will tried to be the scalpel. Halt brought the sledgehammer. And in a place like Port Cale, the sledgehammer speaks the local language.
So they have the location. They hire a ship, the Sparrow, captained by a man named Keelty, to chase Tennyson. But O'Malley isn't done. He's furious.
He's been humiliated. He can't let that stand. So he pursues them in his own ship, the Claw. And this leads us into a really dense but fascinating section on nautical physics.
This is where Flanagan really shows he did his homework. We have a chase sequence, but it's not Hollywood logic. It's all based on wind physics.
Right. The Claw is a predator ship. It's designed for speed. It's got more oars. It has a reinforced prow specifically for ramming. The Sparrow is basically a merchant tub. In a straight line, our heroes lose this race, no question.
They're heading toward a hazard called Palisade Reef, which sounds exactly as friendly as it implies.
It's a ship killer, a line of jagged rocks just under the surface. The captain of the Sparrow, Keelty, has one card left to play. He's betting everything on a local weather phenomenon he calls the backlift.
Okay, explain this concept to us. It sounds like something from aviation, but we're on the water.
It's all fluid dynamics. The wind is hitting a massive headland called the Mull of Linkeith. Now, when a high-velocity air mass hits a huge vertical obstacle like a cliff face, it compresses, and it has to go somewhere, so it rebounds.
So it bounces back?
It bounces back. For a few hundred meters, right at the base of the cliff, the wind direction actually reverses, so the main wind is blowing north. But if you get close enough to that cliff, there's a pocket of wind blowing south.
That's incredible. So Keelty's plan is to lure the Claw in. The Sparrow will hit that backdraft tack, which means turning the bow through the wind, and then use that reversed wind to shoot out to safety.
Exactly. The Claw, being heavier and right behind them, won't have the time or the space to react to that sudden shift. They'll be caught off guard.
But there's a problem. The Claws is too fast. It's closing the gap before they can reach the turning point. They need to slow it down. And this brings us to the shot.
The impossible shot. We really have to set the variables here because it's just insane. You are standing on the deck of a small ship that is heaving up and down on the waves.
Okay.
You are shooting at another ship that is also rolling and pitching independently of your own. The wind is howling, which affects the arrow's flight path, and you are trying to hit a target the size of a Millen O'Malley at a distance of probably 150 meters.
It's a miracle if you hit the ship at all, let alone a person. And we have to mention, Halt is seasick.
He's green in the face. Seasickness is a vestibular disturbance. Your inner ear is telling your brain you're moving, but your eyes say the ship is stable, and that conflict makes you nauseous. But the text makes a point of noting that the moment Halt draws his bow, the nausea vanishes.
That's an incredible level of focus.
It's extreme compartmentalization. His brain literally prioritizes the targeting solution over the biological distress signal. It's a testament to his training.
And they don't just try to kill the crew, their target selection is much more strategic.
This is the key. Killing a few crewmen doesn't stop the ship's momentum. So they have a dual target. They shoot O'Malley, who's at the helm, in the arm. This forces him to let go of the tiller.
And the tiller is the steering mechanism.
Right. At the same time, they put other arrows into the tiller handle itself, splintering it. So even if someone else could grab it, it would be useless.
What is the mechanical result of losing the tiller at full speed in a heavy wind?
It's catastrophic. The ship broaches. This is a nautical term, meaning the ship is no longer facing into or away from the wind, but turns broadside to the wind and waves.
Oh, that sounds bad.
It's the worst thing that can happen. When you're running fast with a following wind, if you suddenly turn sideways, the wind hits the full area of the sails from the side, and it just pushes the entire ship over. The mast snaps under the torsion. The oars, which are sticking out, get caught in the waves and just shear off. The claw becomes a drifting, crippled wreck in a matter of seconds.
And it drifts right onto the Palisade Reef. The description of the destruction is brutal. The ship is just torn apart on the rocks.
And here we get a fleeting, but really crucial ethical moment. The crew of the Sparrow throws some barrels and wreckage overboard for any survivors to cling to. But Halt doesn't order the ship to turn back.
He leaves them to the water.
He does. It's the pragmatism of the Ranger. They tried to kill him and his friends. Turning back now would endanger his own mission and his own ship, which is still near the reef. He essentially says, the sea will decide their fate. It's cold, but it's consistent with his character.
He separates the humanitarian impulse from the strategic necessity.
He has to. That's the job.
They finally make landfall in Picta, and the genre of the story just shifts again. We go from, like, Master and Commander to CSI Middle-earth.
I love that comparison.
Yeah.
We move from naval warfare to tracking, and this is where the expert part of Expert Ranger really shines. They're tracking a group that is days ahead of them. The trail is completely cold, but Halt and Will treat the ground like a crime scene.
So take us through the deductions. Halt finds a tiny scrap of linen on a bush. To a layman, I mean, it's just trash.
To Halt, it's a whole narrative. First, you have the material itself, linen. The locals in Picta wear heavy wool or plaid because the scrub brush in that region tears lighter fabric to shreds. So linen implies an outsider.
Okay, that makes sense.
Second, you have the location of the scrap. It's found off the main path, in the thorn bushes. So Halt asks, why would someone walk directly into the thorn bushes?
They wouldn't. They must have been pushed.
Exactly. It tells Halt that the group they're trailing is large, it's disorganized, and it's jostling for space on the narrow path. It tells them they aren't marching in good military order, they're a crowd.
That's so much information from one tiny piece of cloth. And then Will finds the purple thread.
The smoking gun. It's a very specific shade of purple. And they know that only the Genevesans, the highly skilled assassins working for Tennyson, wear cloaks of that specific color. So now they have a confirmed ID on at least some of the targets. They aren't just chasing a rumor anymore. They're chasing a confirmed threat profile.
They follow this trail to a croft, a small farmhouse. And the tone of the story just drops into something much heavier. They find a massacre.
It's a grim scene. A farmer and his wife, executed. And again, the forensics on the scene tell the whole story. Will digs the bolts out of the bodies.
And they're not local arrows.
No, they're Genovesan crossbow bolts. Short, heavy, designed to punch through armor. This establishes Tennyson's motive. He isn't just fleeing, he's scorching the earth behind him. They killed these people for their food supplies and to ensure they couldn't raise the alarm.
There's a character beat here that I think is vital. Horace insists on burying the bodies.
Yeah, and Halt is impatient. You can feel his frustration. He's in mission mode. He's calculating the velocity of Tennyson's escape. Every hour they spend digging is an hour Tennyson gains on them. But Horace, he just digs in his heels.
It's the clash of two different codes of conduct, isn't it?
Absolutely. Halt represents the mission. He is the operator. His code is utilitarian, the greatest good for the greatest number. Horace represents chivalry. He is the knight. He has a duty of care. He cannot leave innocents unburied to be eaten by carrion birds.
And interestingly, Halt yields.
He does. He grumbles about it, but he picks up a shovel and he helps dig. It shows that Halt, for all his hardness, respects Horace's moral compass. I think he recognizes that Horace keeps them human. If they just become these single-minded killing machines, they lose something essential about what they're fighting for.
They move on, passing through a place called One Raven Pass, which has this spooky local legend about a raven that cries for a Scotty army that was ambushed there centuries ago.
And Horace, being Horace, questions the biology of a 300-year-old raven, which, is a fair point.
Holt gets so annoyed. You have no sense of drama.
It's a great little moment. But after they pass through, they find a new set of tracks, diverting from the main path. And this is the pivotal decision point of this whole section of the book.
Okay, so Will analyzes these new tracks. What does he find?
They're fresh, very fresh. They're large prints, and the impressions in the ground are deep. No small prints at all.
Which translates to...
Heavy men, probably carrying weapons and gear, moving fast. And the lack of small prints means no women or children. This is a war party.
But they aren't Tennyson's men.
No, the tracks are different. They are Scotty raiders, local bandits. And based on the direction they're heading, they're moving toward the border of Peril. They're going to raid a farm, steal cattle, and most likely kill the inhabitants.
So here's the dilemma. It's the trolley problem with bows and arrows. Option A, continue the mission. Chase Tennyson, a man who threatens the stability of entire nations. Option B, divert to stop a raiding party that threatens one specific anonymous farm family.
Strategically, the answer is A. It's cold, but it's logical. You sacrifice the farm to catch the high-value target who could cause thousands of deaths later.
But the Ranger Code, at least the way Halt interprets it in the field, prioritizes the immediate protection of innocent life. They cannot just walk past a massacre in the making.
It's an impossible choice, really.
Halt chooses the farm. He chooses to divert.
It's a decision that defines them as heroes, but you could argue it critiques them as strategists. They track the Scotty to their camp. They count 17 raiders.
So that's nearly 6-to-1 odds. Not great.
Not great at all. A direct fight is suicide. Halt decides he doesn't want a defensive siege at the farm either. That takes too long, and they could be outlasted. He wants a rout. He wants to break their psychology so badly that they run all the way back to Pipa and never come back.
To do that, he needs a force multiplier. He needs an army.
But since he doesn't have one, he uses the local wildlife. They get to the farm ahead of the raiders. The family has already seen them coming and fled into the hills, but the cattle are still there in the paddock.
And Halt's plan is simple. Stampede the cows directly into the Scotty as they emerge from the tree line.
Simple in theory, extremely messy in practice. And this leads us to the now famous Horace and the Bull incident.
It's pure comedy, but also high-stakes action. Halt tells Horace to startle the bull to get the herd moving.
And Horace, being a warrior and not a farmer, interprets startle as attack. He whacks the bull with his cloak.
I assume the bull did not find this intimidating.
The bull found it profoundly insulting. Instead of running away from Horace, the bull attacks Horace. And we have to respect the biology here. A bull is 1,000 pounds of muscle and pure aggression. Horace is on his back, seconds away from being gored.
And then Kicker steps in.
Kicker, Horace's battle horse. We often forget that these destros aren't just transportation. They are trained combatants. They're intelligent and fiercely loyal. Kicker sees his rider in danger and just engages the bull.
A horse versus a bull?
It's a primal clash. Hooves against horns. Kicker bites the bull in the neck, kicks him, and essentially bullies the bully. He asserts dominance.
The bull, having been thoroughly beaten by a horse, turns and runs. The rest of the herd follows him, and suddenly the Rangers have their stampede.
And the execution of the plan from there is flawless. The herd hits the Scotty like a living landslide. It's pure chaos. And Halt and Will are positioned on the flanks, firing arrows.
But they aren't trying to snipe every raider, are they?
No, their fire is directive. It's about funneling the raiders. If a Scotty tries to dodge left to get out of the path of the cows, an arrow hits the ground right next to him, forcing him back into the stampede.
It's hurting human beings, using arrows.
It creates absolute panic. The Scotty leader gets trampled. The rest of them just break and run for their lives. The threat is neutralized without the Rangers taking a single scratch. They effectively weaponize the environment to do all the heavy fighting for them.
It's a total victory. But the aftermath... This is where Flanagan really subverts the heroic trope. The farm family comes back from hiding in the hills, and you expect tears of gratitude. You expect them to offer a feast.
Instead, you get an old man complaining about the milk.
It's unbelievable.
The grandfather looks at the scattered cows all over the valley, and his first thought isn't, we're alive. It's, this is going to be a real hassle to round them up for milking. He doesn't see the massacre that was prevented. He just sees that his chores for the evening just got a lot harder.
I could feel Halt's blood pressure rising right off the page. It was so visceral.
It's a fantastic dose of realism.
Yeah.
When you save people, you often disrupt their lives. They don't see the counterfactual, the horrible thing you prevented. They only see the mess you made, in the process of preventing it.
And Halt loses it. He actually threatens to burn the farm down if they don't say thank you.
And honestly, I'm not 100% sure he was bluffing at that point.
I am not either. With Halt, the bluff is always backed by real intent. He gets his thank you, but it's a sour victory. It just highlights the thankless nature of their job. They aren't doing it for the applause or the gratitude.
No, they're doing it because it's their duty.
They leave the farm and they set up camp for the night. And we get this quiet, really beautiful scene, the campfire scene.
This is essential pacing. After the adrenaline of the stampede and the sheer anger of the ungrateful farmer, we need to decompress. The narrative needs to breathe.
And the description of the cooking Will, making the rabbit stew with red wine, garlic, onions, all the spices he carries with him, it grounds the whole story. It reminds us that these are men who live off the land.
It's so sensory. You can almost smell that stew.
Yeah.
You can feel the warmth of the fire against the cold Pictish night.
And Halt makes damper bread in the ashes,
Which is a traditional Hibernian bread. It reinforces their bond. They aren't just soldiers in a unit. They are a family. They cook for each other. They take care of each other. But over dinner, the reality of their situation sets in again. They are way behind schedule.
Tennyson has gained a massive lead because of the diversion to the farm.
A lead of at least a day, maybe more.
So Halt pulls out the map. He decides they have to take a massive risk. He plans a shortcut, heading southeast, basically cutting across country and hoping to intercept their trail further down the line.
It's a huge gamble. It's based entirely on predictive profiling. He's betting that he knows where Tennyson is heading, that he can predict his most likely extraction point, if he's wrong about that.
They lose him forever. The trail will be too cold to pick up again.
Right. They ride hard the next day. The tension just builds and builds. Are they on a wild goose chase?
Yeah.
And then Will sees it,
A single footprint in the mud.
with a triangular patch on the sole. The mark of the outsiders. The gamble paid off. They are back in the hunt.
So, as we wrap up part 1 of this deep dive, let's synthesize what we've seen. We've seen the Ranger method applied to just about everything from interrogation and psychological warfare to naval tactics and cattle herding.
It's a methodology of adaptation, isn't it? You don't fight the enemy where they are strong. You change the environment, the social environment in the tavern, the physical environment on the sea, the biological environment at the farm to make them weak. You use the wind, you use the crowd, you use the cows.
But I want to leave our listeners with that provocative thought we touched on earlier. Halt made a choice. He saved that one farm family. By any normal measure, he did the right thing. But Tennyson is still out there.
And that is the haunting question that hangs over these chapters. Tennyson is a man who topples kingdoms. By saving 5 people from a raid, did Halt inadvertently condemn 5,000 to suffer under Tennyson's schemes later?
Does the Ranger Code have a flaw when it prioritizes the immediate tactical good over the greater strategic good?
And will that delay, that one day they lost, come back to bite them? Because now they are closing in on the Genevesans, and professional assassins generally don't miss twice.
The stakes are only getting higher, and the terrain is only getting rougher.
That's for sure.
That's it for this week's deep dive. Join us next time as we follow the trail deeper into the woods and unpack the next section of Halt's Peril. Thanks for listening.